Brandon Zucker was only 4 years old when he fell out of a ride at Disneyland, and somehow he survived. He suffered for 8 years before passing in the arms of his mother, Victoria Zucker, at 13 years of age, and this is his story. On September 22, 2000, Brandon and his family went to Disneyland to enjoy a day at the park. The Roger Rabbit ride was the last ride they decided to go on that day. It was 10 p.m. at night, and the ride is located way in the back of the park in Toontown, the same ride that is still there today. The Roger Rabbit cartoon spin ride is based on the Academy Award-winning film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, produced by Steven Spielberg. The premise of the ride is you would rent a taxi based on Benny the Cab, tour the Toontown while mishaps and mayhems occurred around you, all while having the ability to control the car itself and spin 360 degrees while heading through this crazy town. On that fateful night, Brandon and his family boarded the taxi cab, about to embark on a ride that would change his entire family's life. Brandon's mother sat at the driver's seat to control the wheel, his 6-year-old brother Nicholas in the middle, and Brandon on the passenger side near the ride car's entrance. At the time, the ride car had no doors on the side. Within 30 seconds of the ride starting, Brandon fell out of the ride car. Brandon's father and grandmother were in the ride car behind them and witnessed all of this happening. And his father, David, immediately started yelling, "Brandon fell out! Brandon fell out of the car! He's underneath the car! Get him out!" Not only did Brandon fall out of that ride vehicle on the Roger Rabbit Toon spin ride, but also another vehicle drove over him, which caused his body to fold in half. The ride car dragged his body about 10 feet before it stopped in the China shop section of the ride. Brandon's father had to run to the front of the ride to get the cast members' attention about the incident, while Brandon's grandmother consoled his unconscious body under the ride car. According to witnesses, Brandon's father, David, ended up returning to the front of the ride, yelling for assistance multiple times. Numerous men waiting in line offered to help, but the Disney cast members would not allow them to come and assist. After David's third attempt to get help from people at the front of the ride, guests ignored Disney cast members' instruction to not go back and help, and about 10 people rushed back to assist David. These 10 volunteers attempted to lift the ride car off of Brandon, but they were unsuccessful. Brandon got trapped under the ride vehicle and was stuck there for 10 minutes before the firefighters arrived, and they were able to get him out. Witnesses claimed that it took Disneyland too long to inform the police, but once they were called, they arrived within 3 minutes and firefighters arrived a minute later. A jack was required to remove the boy from under the ride, and CPR was performed until the paramedics arrived and took over. The paramedics got a pulse, but Brandon was already blue from the lack of oxygen. Brandon was immediately rushed to the hospital, the UCI Medical Center, and underwent surgery for 2 hours. After the surgery, Brandon was in a drug-induced coma for about a month. Brandon's most significant injuries included brain damage and a fractured pelvis, amongst others. Brandon went under cardiac arrest while he was crushed by the ride, and this caused the brain damage. The injuries from this incident made it so Brandon could never walk or talk again. It was a long 8 years of being in another hospital, and this changed Brandon's family's life forever. On January 26, 2009, at the Children's Hospital of Orange County, Brandon passed away at the age of 13 due to complications from his injuries. He was laid to rest at the Pacific View Memorial Park in Orange County. The accident changed a lot for theme parks. It allowed the state to do their own investigations and to order safety changes. It was also the first major investigation done by the state of California. The Division of Occupational Safety and Health determined in their investigation that it was the fault of the cast members as Brandon wasn't loaded into the ride car properly. The smallest child is supposed to be the furthest from the entrance into the ride vehicle, which is something they were trained to do at the time, and his lap bar also was not fully lowered. Additionally, the Division of Occupational Safety and Health also required that Disney implemented a sensor guard under the ride vehicles, which would prevent the ride vehicles from moving if there was an obstacle in the way. At the time of the incident, up to 3 guests were allowed in one ride vehicle, which is no longer allowed, and only 2 guests are allowed to fit inside. I do believe this could have been another change ordered by the state of California after their investigation was complete. Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin was closed immediately after the accident in September of 2000 and reportedly didn't reopen until the following summer. This incident created a law in California which required theme parks to promptly report significant injuries and accidents. negligence, which gave the state power to investigate and order repairs. This incident was significant in regard to changes made by Disneyland. They now have on-site firefighters and paramedics to enable quicker emergency responses. To this day, the Roger Rabbit ride still exists in Disneyland, California, and there are no height requirements to ride this. Brandon's family sued Disney and won. His medical expenses as a result of this injury costed the family $2 million. In February of 2002, they were granted an undisclosed settlement that helped to pay for Brandon's medical care, rumored to be $43 million. This settlement allowed the family to have 24-hour nursing care for Brandon in the family's home. A significant sign of negligence on Disneyland's part was that on one of the original design plans for the ride, it included a door on the side of the cab, which you could assume would be for safety reasons. But from the Roger Rabbit's Toon spin's opening day up until the day of the accident, there was no door on the side of the ride vehicle. Cast members also failed to load the family into the ride car with the smallest guest first and the adult next to this entrance of the ride car. These two factors were a significant oversight of Disneyland and were viewed as the main reason that Brandon Zucker fell out of the ride car when he was only 4 years old. If you made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take it easy.